It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another teaser breakdown for Season 11 of The Walking Dead. Well, I wouldn't say teaser, but it's just a series of images flashing before your eyes very quickly, but I managed to screen cap every single picture that was in the teaser, which we're gonna go through the first official teaser for Season 11, which is pretty awesome. There's tons of very interesting stuff in here that I do want to cover. I wasn't gonna do 2 Walking Dead videos today, but I just couldn't not break this down. So without wasting any more time, stay tuned, we'll be right back to break all of this down. As always, before we get into this, and I'm gonna make this very quick because this video is going to be long anyway, but before we get into this, as always, make sure to share and smash the like button. Don't forget to press the bell to be notified when we upload. Make sure to subscribe to join our community. With that said, let's dive right into it. Now, I'm not gonna go through the images in the order that they appeared on the teaser because they were all over the place. I tried my best to put the ones that were connected or related together, so that way it's a lot easier to go through. So with that, let's dive into it. So first we have this shot of a destroyed Alexandria. We can actually see Dog in the back as well, which is very interesting. And as you can see, there's a water tower in the back, which is interesting. Now, this is obviously Alexandria because of the wall. So the fact that it's destroyed is interesting. So as we've speculated, Alexandria will be attacked and it will be deserted, at least temporarily. We don't know if they're gonna come back to it, but it definitely looks like in the very first few episodes, Alexandria will be destroyed and deserted. So the community is attacked, and I'm leaning towards the Reapers being the one that actually attacked the community. We're actually going to see a lot of different images and flashes of the Reapers themselves, which is pretty awesome. That's near the end of this breakdown, but this is definitely a destroyed Alexandria. Then we get this pretty interesting shot of what looks like drawing on a wall. It basically looks like graffiti, and it says truth lies, which is contradictory, but I'm assuming that that's the point. We have this one which says it comes for us all, another graffiti, and then another one which is this one, which is a zombie. So that's interesting. So there's a lot of different graffiti. I'm assuming, or I'm leaning towards this graffiti actually being in the underground tunnels that we know the survivors are going to go to. We've seen several different shots of the group inside some sort of a tunnel, both in behind the scenes teasers and also official images that they released. So I'm assuming that all the graffiti we just looked at is from inside the underground tunnels that the group is going to visit. We see that here as well. So we see a bunch of walkers in what appears to be an underground train station. There's like garbage bags everywhere, which is interesting. That does come back around, keep that in mind. But obviously it appears that there was a group of survivors living in the underground bunkers. Now, it's possible that they came after society fell and after the walkers started roaming the streets, but it's also possible that they were there before the apocalypse came. I have my reasons for saying that, which I'll come back to. But then we have none other than the Wall of the Missing. Obviously, for comic readers, we know exactly what this is. In the comics, when the group first visits this community called Commonwealth, which is actually the same exact community that the soldiers that we saw are from, the soldiers that are wearing the white and black uniform or the military gear, the ones that captured Yumiko Princess, Ezekiel, and Eugene. Before the group gets to Commonwealth, they come across this wall, which is a wall of missing people. That's where one of the survivors that is there in the comics, it's Michonne, recognizes one of the pictures, and it's their long lost relative, a very close relative. And that's really the glue that connects the group to Commonwealth in a way that nothing else can. And in the show, obviously it appears that they're going to do the same thing. Now, I've looked at these pictures. I don't recognize any of them, but if any of you recognize any of these, let me know. But I'm leaning more towards the person that the group sees a picture of not actually being someone that us, the audience, would recognize. We also have this shot, which is basically from the same thing. It's the wall of missing people, and we can see in the top it says flag for expediting assessment or something to that nature. It's a little blurry, so it's tough to say. And at the bottom it says an admissions or something like that to the Commonwealth. So flag for expediting assessment and admission to the Commonwealth, something along those lines, which has nothing to do with the wall of the missing, but I could be missing something, no pun intended. So let me know if I'm missing something, and also if you recognize any of the pictures on the wall. Then we have this picture of 2 Commonwealth soldiers in what appears to be a holding cell or outside the holding cell. And then we have this one. Now, if you pay attention, we have a prisoner, obviously. We have 2 Commonwealth military guards, and we have someone else who's wearing a similar outfit, but it's a red one. Comic readers also recognize that person. That person is none other than Mercer. The reason Mercer is wearing that is because he's the commander for the Commonwealth military. So that's why he's wearing a slightly different outfit. So that's pretty awesome. Then we have this picture, which is very, very, very blurry, but it appears like it's Princess and someone else sitting at a table. And it looks like they're on the other side of a fenced area. So I'm assuming that this is the survivors, Yumiko, Ezekiel, Eugene, and Princess, sitting at the table inside the holding cell. And then we have this shot of Yumiko looking at someone. It could be Eugene, could be Ezekiel, but I'm leaning towards it being someone from the Commonwealth, someone who's actually interviewing Yumiko. And then we have this shot of Yumiko looking somewhere through the fence. Obviously, it's probably the fence that she and the other prisoners are being held at. Then we have this shot of Princess, Ezekiel in the background, and also Yumiko at the table. And then we have some, I would say, character portraits. So we have this one of Carol. Now what's very interesting is in the background, it appears that she's in the same tunnel that we saw several images of. We'll see more of those in this teaser, but it looks like she's in some sort of an underground tunnel. And then we have Princess here, who's actually in the middle of a prison cell or a holding cell. And then we have this one of Kelly in what appears to be some sort of a warehouse. And then we have this one of Yumiko. She's also in the same underground tunnel that Carol appeared to be at. And then we have this one of Carol, again, in that same underground tunnel area, which is very interesting. And then this one of Maggie in the same exact area. And then this one of Princess, again, in the same exact area. And then this one of Princess and Yumiko together. This one of Maggie and Carol together. And then in the back, we can actually see the spray painted message that we actually saw in another teaser that said, "If there was a God, he will have to beg for my forgiveness." And this is obviously a spray painted message that was on the wall in an underground train station. So we're beginning to kind of see a lot of different pictures that's pointing towards something to the effect of the group going to an underground tunnel, and the underground tunnel being significant in the story. So that's pretty interesting and awesome. And then we have this one of Rosita, and I think that's Lydia in the background with a bunch of walkers surrounding them. I think they're actually in the same exact area which we saw in a picture. If you remember, there was a chopper to the right in that picture where Rosita, Lydia, I think Maggie and Carol. Looking at it now, actually, that may be the chopper in the background. And then we have this one of Magna in the same sort of warehouse area, probably the same area where the chopper is at. And then we have this shot of Maggie hanging on to something, so that's extremely interesting. It looks like she's climbing a ladder, but I could be wrong about that. And then we have this shot of Maggie in the middle of Alexandria, and then obviously we can see that it's been attacked. This connects to the first few images that we looked at. We also see Yumiko in the exact same location. The next picture is actually this picture of handcuffs, so that's interesting. We also have this picture of someone writing some sort of a letter, so that's extremely interesting. And then we get to the juicy stuff, I would say. We have this image of an underground tunnel, an underground train station, and we can actually see a lot of trash everywhere. Similar to how there was a lot of trash and the walkers were passing by. We looked at that earlier in this breakdown if you remember. So that's interesting. So we see a lot of trash, and if you look at the walls, we can see that there is no graffiti. However, take a look at this. We can see that there is vines growing all around the train station, but it appears to be the exact same area. And also, I do see a few graffiti on the wall. So that's extremely interesting. And then we have this shot of a few of our survivors, probably the same ones that we saw in that pretty awesome image. The one where we had everyone approaching the camera. There was like maybe 15. Maggie was at the forefront. So we see a group that appears to be that exact same group. And they're standing in what appears to be the middle of the train rail. Trash everywhere. There's a teddy bear there as well. So things are connecting. That's all I can say. I don't know how else to kind of connect the dots for you, but everything is pointing towards something big happening in an underground tunnel. And it's possible that we might see kind of like a backstory before we see the current train station. So we might see why it ended up being the way it is and the people that might have lived there. I'm leaning towards, or not even leaning towards, but this is my early bold prediction. The Reapers are living in this area. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction. And then we have this pretty interesting poster that says America doesn't tolerate racism. Not sure what to make of that and how that connects to the entire storyline and the things that we've covered. I can't make a connection, but maybe you can. The only thing I can think of is maybe the Reapers are a group that were anti-racist before the apocalypse, and then they came together even after the apocalypse to fight back against groups that attack and destroy other smaller communities, or something to that nature. And then we have this one that says homeless vet. It appears to be inside a shopping cart, and it looks like maybe this is the same pile of trash that we saw in the underground train station. We have this pretty interesting and I would say intimidating picture of a bunch of people dressed in not even military uniform, but in what I can only call as uniform that gangs would wear. Like this could very well be a scene from The Purge. You know what I mean? And then obviously we can see people hanging from ropes by their foot all along the side of the road. So that's extremely intimidating and interesting. And then the camera zooms in and we can see these people. We can see that they are wearing masks, scary masks, not even just like covering their face or anything. They're wearing like Halloween masks and stuff like that. And they're wearing all black or something to that nature. I think these are probably the Reapers. Like, I don't see these being anyone else. They're not from Commonwealth. Doesn't make sense. It only makes sense for them to be part of the Reapers. So that's extremely interesting and exciting. That's all I can say. And then we get this final one of the same group. They just look super badass and intimidating. That's all I can say about them. And that's pretty much it. And then we have this coming up, the epic and begins. Now what's interesting is that it says the final season part 1, because obviously we have 3 parts for the final season. We have part 1, which is 8 episodes, part 2, which is also 8 episodes, and the final part, part 3, which is also 8 episodes. So it's cool that they did something different this time, which is that they gave the season halves parts instead of first half, second half, which is what they've done for the last 9-10 seasons. And obviously the premiere date is August 22nd. That's pretty much everything. That's all I wanted to go through. This video was probably super long, so I'm not gonna drag it out any longer, but share your thoughts and opinions down below. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to join, and also share and smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, and press the bell to be notified when we upload. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.